Welcome to Phoenix Concussion Recovery Podcast. This is episode 4, focusing on nutrition and diet post-concussion. Lauren will be talking to Bri Goslin, a neuronutrition researcher who recently completed USC's new nutrition master's program and will be applying for neuroscience PhD programs this year. Okay, I'm on with Lauren and Bri now, so Lauren, take it away.
Hi, this is Lauren Ziaks from Phoenix Concussion Recovery, and we've got a special guest on for our podcast about nutrients. So we're going to have Bri tell us a little bit about herself before we get going.
Hi, Lauren. How are you doing? My name is Bri Goslin, and my background is as a neuroscience instructor and a concussion researcher. And in seeing concussion patients being sent home without nutrients to reconstruct brain tissue, I decided to return to school to study nutrition. So I recently completed the nutrition graduate degree at USC. And so my research will allow for combining neuro and nutrition to treat concussion and neurologic disease.
That's awesome. So I want today's podcast to focus on nutritional supplements after concussion and brain injury. We're going to talk about what we're using in our practice, but then we want to have Bri here explain why we're using them. And I think since she's the one that does the research on that, she'll do a much better job than I will. If you have a brain, then this podcast is for you. It is targeted towards concussion and brains, but all of us have them, and all of us to make sure that our brains are working optimally. So this podcast can be for just about anybody. Let's talk first about the supplement that people are using the most in concussions. So that'll be the fish oil with DHA. There's these questions about DHA and EPA. What's the difference? Our clinic is recommending 1,000 milligrams twice a day. As PTs, that's what we're allowed to recommend. So obviously, we can't recommend more than the daily value. We want to make sure that people look at the label and they look for the no fish burps. That's one big thing I always tell my clients. Your compliance will be very limited after the first day if you spend all day burping up fish oil, right? But Bri, can you explain why this fish oil is so great after head injuries and why everyone's talking about it?
So the brain is 1/3 fish oil and 1/3 vegetable oil, essentially. And our diet should reflect this 1-to-1 ratio. And a lot of people, unfortunately, eat a lot of vegetable oil and not very much fish. The brain is smart. It can make brain tissue from vegetable oil. The problem is that vegetable oil is mostly single bonds. It's omega-6. Whereas fish oil tissue has more double bonds. There's one double bond every third carbon, omega-3. And so when the brain is whacked and it hits that double bonded fish oil tissue, there's a lot more strength. The double bonds are thereby protecting the brain from concussion. And fish oil is best found in fresh fish, such as salmon and halibut, tuna, trout. If sufficient fish is not consumed, there are nutrient supplements available. And the recommended daily allowance is 1 gram per day of DHA and EPA, and 2 to 3 grams are utilized in research therapeutically. There's also molecular distilled fish oil. I like the liquid form of fish oil. It's easier than swallowing several capsules. And DHA is also now available in algae sources.
Wow, that's so interesting. So the DHA is working because it's making our brain stronger, especially when that hit happens. So that's really exciting. Let's talk about B complex vitamins next. So we're recommending them based on my knowledge. They're energy vitamins, they're building blocks, maybe they help with mood and hormone regulation, which is all important after a head injury. But can you explain more about what people should be looking for and why they're so important?
So B complex vitamins help make DNA and nervous system tissue. They're also cofactors for neurotransmitter production. And in research studies, B vitamins have been found to improve sensory, motor, and cognitive function. They're water soluble, so they must be replaced daily in the diet. And if you're on a wheat gluten-free or a grain-free ketogenic diet, be especially careful to receive enough B vitamins. It's also best to take B vitamins as a complex and not individually. Be careful not to take too much B6. And B9 is folate, and it's super important for DNA production and neural tube formation in developing babies.
Wow, that's really exciting. So especially if you're on certain types of diets, you want to make sure, because you might not be getting these vitamins, you want to make sure that you get them from these supplements instead. And we're not recommending, if you're gluten-free, we don't recommend you eat gluten just to get your B vitamins, right? So we recommend that you find a source of a supplement instead that's gluten-free. So how about supplements for sleep? So we know sleep is crucial for brain health and healing. We know that if you aren't sleeping, you aren't healing, right? That's the little slogan that we use. A lot of patients come to us with issues with either quality or the amount of sleep, the quantity of their sleep. Melinda and I over at Phoenix and at our medical practices are recommending a slow release melatonin, but we're hearing more and more about this 5-HTP. So is 5-HTP better than melatonin? Right now I'm just recommending 5-HTP instead of melatonin, only if the melatonin isn't working, since we understand that one better. But since there's so much more emerging research on the brain-gut connection, I'm wondering if maybe we should be moving towards 5-HTP. So can you talk about both of those, and then maybe the differences and what we should be doing moving forward?
Melatonin works for a lot of people. It regulates the sleep-wake cycle, but it's the end product of the serotonin pathway. And if possible, it's good to supply the beginning nutrients in a pathway. And that way you keep the whole pathway alive and functioning. Pathways that don't have each of the nutrients tend to die off. 5-HTP, on the other hand, is a beginning nutrient in the serotonin pathway. If you provide 5-HTP, that allows the pathway to run from start to finish. And the serotonin produced from this 5-HTP is used for learning and memory, mood, and stress control. And most serotonin is stored in the gut. It promotes gut motility, and the serotonin can then be converted to melatonin. Your diet provides a certain amount of 5-HTP. If you utilize excessive amounts of 5-HTP due to stress, or in rebuilding your learning and memory systems due to concussion, or even if you have intestinal disease, then there's less 5-HTP available for sleep. To help, you can eat more mushrooms or ingest the 5-HTP nutrient as a supplement.
Well, that's really exciting. So that makes a lot more sense. So basically, what we've always been using is the melatonin, but maybe that's only helping at the end of the pathway. It's kind of like taking your goo as you finish the marathon instead of carbo loading and getting ready the day before the marathon and taking your 5-HTP just to start off with. So we'll definitely look into that more for our practice. I appreciate that. If you've got 2 more minutes, would you pick your favorite supplement that we didn't already discuss, and could you tell us why that would be the extra one you would want to add to the list?
So besides fish oil and B-complex vitamins that we discussed, the other brain macronutrients are the amino acids. And the 20 amino acids are the building blocks for proteins and neurotransmitters. So consuming the amino acids as a complex enables all 20 amino acids to be present simultaneously to afford new protein construction. It's rather like being handed a pile of bricks to quickly construct a new wall. Another important brain micronutrient is magnesium. And Dr. David Perlmutter tells us that magnesium was reported in the Neuron Journal to enhance learning abilities, working memory, short and long-term memory, and even the quality of sleep in laboratory animals.
Wow, that is really exciting. So if you're someone who's not having sleep issues, you've got at least 4 good things that you could be looking into. We really appreciate Bri being here and telling us more about these supplements at a higher level. We want to thank our listeners out there for tuning in. And then it's important for you guys to note that no matter how early or far out you are from your head injury, if you're having any issues that sound consistent with what these supplements can help with, then you should definitely give them a try. Please always make sure to respect your allergies and always consult with your physician. Some supplements may interact with your prescription medications, or you may have allergies, that sort of thing. Also remember that supplements are meant to supplement our food, so you can always rewind and listen to the food groups that Bri mentioned that would give you a natural source of these supplements. The best way to get the components we talked about today is through a healthy diet, but if not, go ahead and find your local supplement store and get yourself some of these different items. We hope that you all have a very happy holiday season and that you keep on healing.
Okay, thanks so much, Lauren. This is a great podcast. So thank you, Lauren and Bri, and have a good. I'll see you all in 2018. Thanks. To learn more, visit PhoenixConcussionRecovery.com. You can find all episodes of Phoenix Concussion Recovery Podcast and Concussion Talk Podcast, as well as blog posts and my ebook Detour at www.concussiontalk.com. Thank you so much for listening. There's more to come in 2018. The music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound. www.bensound.com.
We go out west. We're not sure if we'll do it exactly on Grey Cup weekend. It is quite a busy weekend, and it seems to fall on American Thanksgiving. And we do like our American speakers to come. So we might tailor it a bit around that, maybe before or after the date. So our concussion committee will be having another meeting soon just to schedule in a date for next year, lock it down. And then we'll start putting some information up on the website so that everyone can get a preview of what's to come next year.
And what are your websites? Their websites or Facebook pages or Twitter pages you'd like to mention?
Okay, so let me pull them up on here.
What you're doing, yourself.
My personal stuff. My company. So yes, I've also launched a small business, so a small company, and our company sells concussion medical supplies. So as a physiotherapist, I need a lot of tools to assess and treat my concussion patients. And it's really a new area. So there aren't any companies out there that make supplies that are tailored specific to concussion rehab. So our first product is the joint position air headlamp. So we call it the Concussion Lab laser headlamp. And it helps us measure proprioception of the cervical spine. So basically the sense of awareness of the neck in relation to the head and the body. And then we use it also for rehab exercises to do neck and head and eye exercises, work on dynamic and static stability, and that kind of thing. So I've designed this product with my company. So we have it now on the market. Our website is concussionlab.com. You can follow us on Twitter at concussion_lab and on Instagram as well at concussion_lab. And we'll be adding new products to the store shortly. So just keep visiting the site and you'll see updates with all the new products. And we really want physiotherapy clinics out there to start concussion programs because there's a lot more people wanting to treat and assess concussions. So we want to make sure that everyone has all the tools and then, of course, uses our standardized guidelines to be assessing and treating concussions. And then Sport Physiotherapy Canada, you can follow us at Sport Physio Can on Twitter. And on Facebook, it's at Sport Physio Canada. Mm-hmm.
And so great. So if that's okay, so thanks so much for talking about this today, and we kept this one also short as well, so that's good. And thanks. It was a very informative discussion about it. And good to hear about the next year's concussion symposium is still in the works. So it's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank you so much for having me, Nick. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks again to Siobhan for an excellent and very informative conversation. Every episode of Concussion Talk Podcast and Phoenix Concussion Recovery Podcast are available on my website, www.concussiontalk.com, with links to where you can find them on iTunes, YouTube, and SoundCloud. The music at the beginning of this podcast is by Ben Sound, www.bensound.com.